I'm pretty sure my husband has been posting on here about our marriage, and since he wants strangers all up in our business, let's do it.
Oh,
He talked about how he asked for an open marriage because I never wanted to have sex with him, but didn't mention that this was not even a year after we lost our baby, and my body had gone through the worst experience of my life. I had to deliver our lifeless baby and then almost died. I felt like a failure for losing our baby, and here he was telling me I was failing as a wife too. I told him he could do whatever he wanted. The first weekend after I agreed to this open marriage, he left me with the kids for 3 nights and came back with a $700 charge on our bank account and said if I don't want him to spend so much, I should let him bring girls to the basement, and I ended up saying okay. I would be upstairs crying myself to sleep, feeling like a failure, hoping this would only last a couple months, while he was downstairs with I don't know who. He mentioned that I met another guy, but didn't talk about how I went through this whole period where I'd try to have sex with him more than a couple of times a month, and he'd say, not now, I have someone coming, or no, I'm tired, I just had sex with XYZ. I'd already met someone, but I wanted to put our relationship first and didn't want to start seeing someone else. I kept trying, but it seemed like to him, I was just a babysitter, maid, co-parent, and roommate. I decided to let the other guy in because I wanted to hurt my husband and remind him that I exist. But honestly, being treated like I'm the most amazing person on earth feels good. He puts me first and treats me so well. Now that my husband is realizing that, he's throwing temper tantrums and trying to make me feel bad. He knew I was going to be gone this weekend. I told him that weeks ago, but apparently since he told me that he's closing the marriage on his side and wanting to reconnect with me, he'd expected me to do the same. Now he's saying I abandoned him and the kids when I didn't. I'm finally feeling like a human being again, and I'm not going to ghost the guy who's helped me get to this point just because my husband is paying attention to me again. Since we're asking strangers for opinions, I'm curious. What would you do in my situation if the person you loved treated you the way he treated me?
24-year-old male am an asshole. But to be honest, I don't think I can help it. I met my girlfriend in college at a party and we hit it off right away. I asked her to be my girlfriend the very same week I met her. So things moved along really quick. We were dating for 3 months before I met her parents. And I went over to her house and we did the whole thing. But when I met her sister, I fell in love. Her sister was like the male version of me. She likes dirt biking. I like dirt biking. She loves going on solo trips. I do too. We both love skydiving, playing baseball, watching baseball, and my girlfriend, well, she just doesn't have those interests. She's more into getting manicures and pedicures, coloring her hair, making sure she looks skinny in all her pictures, and she always makes me take about 100 pictures before she chooses one to post. So I realized her sister and I were much more compatible. The same day we met, her and I just talked for about 3 hours, while the rest of the family was watching TV. That very same day, she invited me to go on a hike with her and her friends. My girlfriend was actually really happy that her sister and I got along. So I said yes, only to end up making out with her. Part 2, when she invited me to go hiking, I instantly had to say yes. But in my defense, I tried to convince my girlfriend to come with us. She said no because she didn't want to get sweaty and she didn't want to ruin her hair. So her sister and I made our way to the hiking place with her 2 friends. During the hike, we had so much fun. Her and I basically walked together for 2 hours and just talked. The longer we walked, the more I fell in love with her. And I could tell that the same was happening to her. We decided to walk ahead of her friends just to get some more privacy. And that's when we started making out. Then she instantly started to cry. She felt really bad for her sister. And I felt bad for her sister. But there was just nothing we could do about it. At least not then. When we got back to her parents' house, we decided not to talk about it or even talk to each other. My girlfriend and I went back to college and I didn't see her sister for another 2 weeks. She finally came over to visit and we decided to go to a house party. And this is when things get even more complicated. At the house party, my girlfriend decided to get really drunk. And she was being a brat. So her sister and I had to take care of her the whole night. When we finally took her back home after she was sick, her sister and I started making out again. Part 3 is up. While my girlfriend was blackout drunk on her bed, her sister and I were making out in the kitchen. I know, I'm an evil man. I just couldn't help it. That's when I realized that I had fallen in love with my girlfriend's sister over the last 2 weeks. I couldn't believe it myself. That's when I decided to tell her in the kitchen that I couldn't see her sister the same way anymore, and that I kind of wanted to be with her. She told me there was no way that could ever happen and that she would never do that to her sister. Yet she was still making out with her sister's boyfriend. I asked her to tell me how she felt about me, and she basically told me she felt the same way. So over the next few days, I made a decision. I decided to ghost my girlfriend. I didn't have the balls to tell her that I had fallen in love with her sister. I mean, can you blame me? Of course, my girlfriend went nuts trying to contact me, so I ended up blocking her number. She came over to my apartment, but I didn't answer the door. That's when I called her sister up and told her that I was single. But now she's rejecting me and doesn't want to be in a relationship with me. If feel like an asshole because I ghosted my girlfriend and I fell in love with her sister. Now I'm the one ending up alone. Should I get back with my girlfriend or should I try to get with the sister?
Am I wrong for refusing to help / support my dad's pregnant stepdaughter? I am a 21 female college student. My dad's stepdaughter is 18, turning 19 soon, and expecting a baby. She has no idea who the father is, and she's been left behind by her friends who are all in college after graduating last year. She never went and stayed living with my dad and her mom. Now she's pregnant, doesn't have a job, and isn't in school, but she's planning to go now. Which, I don't know. I don't believe that, but I know my dad wants to. I transferred and I now live about an hour away from my dad. Because I'm so much closer now, he wants me to help out with his stepdaughter, give her a place to stay some nights so she can get away from their house, maybe be a sister for her, offer to be an aunt to the baby. She and I have never gotten along, and I personally think she's a spoiled brat and I do not consider her family, even though by marriage she is. But we never treated each other like sisters and have never counted each other as such. She regrets that now. She told me as much. She realizes I have people in my life who would be there for me in a heartbeat, which she doesn't have outside her mom and my dad. I told my dad I wasn't interested, that I am happy with my life the way it is and I don't trust her to follow through, nor do I care enough about her to reach out. It's the honest truth. I don't care if she does try or not. She's not important to me. It upset him because he wants more for her. He wants me to want this so badly, but she wasn't part of my life for as long as she was his. I was 15 when I moved in with him after my mom died, and before that I saw him a few weeks of the year. My dad was upset but not angry. His wife, however, thinks I'm a bad egg, to quote her. She said family helps each other. Wouldn't I want to help her? The answer to that is no, because I've seen what her help leads to. Do I not long for a sister that I never otherwise had? All this stuff. Then she talks about how the baby is special and important and I should cherish her. She told me only bad eggs refuse to help. What are you, a chicken? I might be wrong now, but I consider that her way of calling me an asshole, and I only entertained that idea because my dad is her. So, am I the asshole? Am I wrong for not telling my dad that I had a baby? For context, I, 28 female, have never been close with my dad, 66 male. My parents got married super fast and had 3 kids in 5 years. Then their relationship started to deteriorate, but when they were about to separate, my mom accidentally got pregnant with me. So they tried to make it work, but they failed and my dad left when I was 3. He got an apartment about an hour away while us kids stayed with mom. Because my dad left when I was so young, I never properly bonded with him. For the first couple of years after he left, I didn't really want to spend time with him because I was upset that he left. This made my dad unsure what to do with me, so he gave up trying to have a good relationship with me quickly. Growing up, I only saw him when he came to visit my siblings and we never spent any time alone together. He moved to another state as soon as my siblings were all 18 and has never invited me to visit. Meanwhile, my sister gets a plane ticket to visit him every year. We got into a fight 2 years ago, and since then, I have given up caring about our relationship because it obviously means more to me than him. Now, onto the actual story. I had my first baby last November. My dad has texted me a couple of times since I got pregnant, but it was always a one-off text that didn't really segue into me telling him about the baby. Plus, I wasn't rushing to tell him anyway, because if he hasn't been a good father, then he's not going to be a good grandfather. I wasn't actively trying to keep the baby from him, but I try not to think about him much because it upsets me. However, yesterday my dad came to visit. I knew he was coming, but he wasn't supposed to come until today. He'll only be here for a couple of days, and I wasn't planning on seeing him anyway because I'm busy this weekend. But last night, my husband and I were at my sister's house babysitting her kids and had our daughter with us. That's when my dad showed up a day early. He's staying there with my sister and was surprised to find us there with the baby. Once he got over his initial shock, he took me into another room and got mad at me for not telling him about his granddaughter. I was annoyed by this, so I told him he wasn't really ever going to know her anyway because he doesn't really know me. Then he told me I was a selfish bee for not even giving him the chance to know his granddaughter. I started getting mad at him until my husband heard and came to stop us before the situation got worse. I haven't talked to him since, but he texted me about how hurt he was, and all of my siblings texted me that I was a jerk for not telling him about the baby. However, they all talked to him regularly and they never told him I had a baby either, so he obviously wasn't asking about me. But even my mom, who doesn't like my dad, thinks I'm in the wrong. My husband is on my side, but he's the only one who actually understands how complicated my relationship is with my dad. I know I shouldn't have lashed out at him and I regret that, but am I the asshole? Am I wrong for proposing to my girlfriend at my brother's wedding and posting it on social media? My brother and his wife got married last week. It was a big beach wedding with about 100 people. While the bride and groom were doing their photo shoot that took an hour, the guests were walking down the beach, having some snacks that were served, talking to each other, etc. My girlfriend and I have been together for 10 years and have a kid together. Marriage just never came up, and we're both really not the romantic type. When our son was born, I jokingly told her I'd propose to her on a beach at sunset someday. So after the wedding, we were walking down the beach. We were all alone. No one was paying us any attention because there were about 100 people there. I just asked her, "So, beach, sunset, will you marry me?" She said yes, we had a good laugh, took a selfie together, and slowly walked back to the site of the reception. We haven't told anyone we are getting married yet. It will be a courthouse wedding anyway. 2 days ago, my girlfriend posted that selfie on her social media, tagged me and wrote a caption, "Finally marrying the love of my life," and a Sunset Beach proposal. Now, everyone who knows us knew it was a sarcastic caption and knew it was more of a joking post than anything else. My brother and his wife called us very upset hours after that post. My sister-in-law said we ridiculed their wedding with our post. My brother said I'm an asshole for proposing at someone else's wedding. But I didn't really, so am I the asshole?